Okay, so something I didn't think we were gonna get, but we got, and boy, is it a gift that keeps on giving. Kamala Harris has done another interview, and I'm not gonna go any further. We're just gonna sit back, we're gonna enjoy, and just keep an open mind and just listen.
Our colleague Stephanie Rule has just wrapped up her interview with Vice President Kamala Harris. The interview will air in full tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern. But here's a preview. Here's what she had to say about Trump and his threat to impose tariffs.
Tariffs aren't unique to President Trump. President Biden has tariffs in place. He's actually looking to potentially implement more. Where do you come out on? Is there a good tariff, a bad tariff?
Well, part of it is you don't just throw around the idea of just tariffs across the board, and that's part of the problem with Donald Trump. Frankly, I'm going to, and I say this in all sincerity, he's just not very serious about how he thinks about some of these issues. And one must be serious and have a plan, and a real plan that's not just about some talking point ending in an exclamation at a political rally, but actually putting the thought into what will be the return on the investment, what will be the economic impact on everyday people.
Let me show you how we do stuff around here.
Actually, my department...
Okay, since there's an ad, I would like just to go ahead and say this, that tariffs, if for those of you who just don't know, if you hear the word tariff, please don't think it's just like high taxes. That if a politician's like, we're going to impose higher tariffs, that automatically means that you're going to be paying higher taxes. Normally, tariffs are a negotiation tactic. Excuse me. Normally, tariffs are a negotiation tactic because the country that you're in, we're going to say America, has imports and exports. It has goods. It has things that it wants to sell, and it has things that it needs, right? And when you sell something, ideally, you want to have tariffs or when you're selling things and getting stuff in, you want tariffs so that way you're making the most amount of money as possible for the people over here, and that way it's not cheaper for a corporation to buy something here or overseas, excuse me, and ship it over here than it is to build it over here. I'm sorry for stumbling over my words on that one, but hopefully you're picking up what I'm putting down.
Steph Rule joins us now. Steph, Mark Cuban keyed off on this as well, the potentially calamitous impact of the kind of tariffs Trump is talking about. I'm glad you asked her about this. Tell us more.
I mean, Trump's plan would be economically disastrous, but it's tricky because President Biden has some on the books. He's potentially looking to do more. But what Kamala Harris is really talking about, right, the idea for tariffs, or when Trump gets on the podium and talks about it, he's talking about bringing back American jobs and bringing back American manufacturing. You got to get real, because tariffs are only going to hurt this country. And while he's saying it to an audience, that same audience has Amazon boxes outside their front door. And we've been accustomed to the way that we live. But they are bringing manufacturing back. So while she didn't want to get deep on what they're going to do, what her plan is on tariffs, they do have a serious plan as it relates to manufacturing. If you think about the big economic legislation that has been passed in the last 4 years, we have actually seen billions of dollars being put to work, thousands of jobs being created, much of which are in red states and red counties, bringing manufacturing jobs back. Now, they're not the old manufacturing jobs, they are new manufacturing. And this friction, this period of change doesn't just happen overnight, right? So Donald Trump, who really appealed to that blue collar, that union worker in 2016, kind of on a guttural, emotional level, we've seen the Biden administration appeal to that base on a policy level. But she knows she's not getting those votes overnight. We know she didn't get the Teamsters endorsement. And she said, I mean, I asked her straight out, you didn't get the Teamsters endorsement. What does that say about you? Is that a canary in the coal mine? And she said, I have to earn their votes. And bringing these jobs back and bringing dignity to these jobs and these communities takes time. And she's out on the trail working on it.
What else did she say, Steph?
I mean...
Sorry, Steph. I thought this was going to be an exclusive interview with VP Kamala Harris, but apparently this is just your talking points about it. One that you don't even get to air, but we just get to talk about it. And if she's on the trail talking about it, I thought that was campaigning for her election, her presidency coming up. But I also thought she was the vice president. So which one is she doing?
If you just think about in total, she's laying out a detailed economic plan because she's got a problem, right? People keep saying...
No, she has not laid out a single detail. She's only pointed and said Trump's plan is disastrous, and then that she comes from a middle class family. That is no details. That is the opposite of details. Everything that she says that Trump is, she is. Holy fucking shit, this got me so fucking heated.
I don't know what her plan is. I don't know who she is. I hear about her policies, but I don't see myself in them. So her challenge and what she did today and what she did while we sat down is trying to make people understand that her policies, her vision for a better economic future serves everyone, right? If you and I live in the same small town, Nicole, and you get a $25,000 starter for your small business, I might not work at that store, but I want that store in my downtown. I don't like that my downtown is hollowed out because everyone's left to go work at an Amazon factory. So she's trying to help people.
That's direct byproduct of her fucking administration with Biden, who said that she was the final person to make the final say. She had the most influential power during their run. That's his words, not mine.
Understand by expanding the child tax credit, by helping people get child care. You're going to put more women back in the workforce. You're going to help families have more money to spend. And even if you aren't that working mom, even if you're not that person starting a small business, if you help the community around you, everyone will lift. And she does point out that in Trump's policies, he is looking to cut taxes for corporations or for the super wealthy, and kind of calling people out. Something that I would say is different in interviewing Vice President Harris versus President Biden. President Biden was pretty clear. In fact, I interviewed him 4 years ago this week, and he kind of had that line, I'm here for Scranton, Pennsylvania, not Park Avenue. And she said, I absolutely want everyone to pay their fair share, from billionaires to corporations, but I can work with everyone. I have worked with everyone, and I'm all for everyone being a big success. And her argument is she wants to build an inclusive country, an inclusive economy. And where I think that's so important, Nicole, is what I didn't hear from her was divisive language. I barely even heard from her ripping on Donald Trump. Imagine.
Barely heard divisive language. She said there was no divisive language, and then the next statement was, I barely heard her calling out on Trump. That is divisive language in itself. And in fact, I just saw this clip of literally this part in the interview of the question, what do you say to Americans who don't feel like they fit into your policies? Literally what the question was. Apparently, this is the interview. I want this to be shown. I don't know where this is at, but let's just...
Vice President, you just laid out your economic vision for the future.
Yeah.
But still, there are lots of Americans who don't see themselves in your plan.
Where's this full video?
For those who say these policies aren't for me, what do you say to them?
If you are hardworking, if you have the dreams and the ambitions and the aspirations of what I believe you do, you're in my plan. You know, I have to tell you, I
what does
really
that even mean?
Love and am so energized by what I know to be the spirit and character of the American people.
You're not even making eye contact when you're saying that. You're looking off to the side. That means you don't fucking believe what you're even saying.
We have ambition. We have aspirations. We have dreams. We can see what's possible. We have an incredible work ethic. But not everyone has the access to the opportunities that allow them to achieve those things. But we don't lack for those things. But not everyone gets handed stuff on a silver platter. And so my vision for the economy, I call it an opportunity economy, is about making sure that all Americans, wherever they start, wherever they are, have the ability to actually achieve those dreams and those ambitions, which include, for middle-class families, just being able to know that their hard work allows them to get ahead, right? I think we can't and we shouldn't aspire to have an economy that just allows people to get by. People want to do more than just get by. They want to get ahead. And I come from the middle class.
Of course, she has to bring it that she comes from a middle-class freaking family. I'm sorry, guys, that I am so visceral at the moment. I
Vice President, you just laid out sitting against Donald Trump. Imagine the language.
I had a thought, but I lost it.
Language he would be using, please. And just the fact that we were talking about collaborative inclusivity, I don't know, Nicole, vote for
It's back. When she brings up not everyone gets handed things on a silver platter, I don't even think it's about being handed things on a silver platter. I don't think most people do. I think 80% of people who are Americans who are making the success are doing it by their own merit, right? By taking, I don't say advantage of the system, but understanding that the system is a game and that they're playing the game and they're gaming the game. That's not them getting handed things on a silver platter. That's just them having a higher IQ than everyone else around them and succeeding. And everyone succeeds at different levels. And guess what? Succeeding to me is probably going to mean something different than succeeding to you. So this idea that everyone gets handed something on a silver platter, or anyone that is successful has been handed it on a silver platter, legitimately, S my D. Style my do.
For her or don't vote for her, but isn't it great to just have a positive conversation right now?
I mean, Mark Cuban was so mushy. I started smiling. I had him right out of the speech. After what Donald Trump said about you, I hope you would be divisive if you were sitting across from him, but we'll put a pin in that. Let me play some more.
Never.
Let me play more of your interview.
Nicole, let's be clear. Let's be clear. I thought he liked bimbos.
I'm going to leave that right there. You're having a banner week, and I'm not going to slow it down. I'm just going to lift it up. Let me do this. Let me play more of the interview. We'll talk about it on the other side.
My friend Kamala is coming up on one of the last major fundraising deadlines before Election Day. So when I say that your donation will go a long way, I really mean it. In a race this big, with stakes this high, your donation can make all the difference. Because even if you're just chipping in a few bucks, Americans across the country are too. That's how we'll win this thing. Together. I'm counting on you to step up and support Kamala and Tim's campaign. Not tomorrow, not next week, but today, when your gift matters most. Thanks so much.
I'm actually taken back by that.
Expanding that child tax credit, or you mentioned housing before, giving that extra money for a first home. If you can't raise corporate taxes, or if GOP takes control of the Senate, where do you get the money to do that? Do you still go forward with those plans and borrow?
Well, but we're going to have to raise corporate taxes, and we're going to have to make sure that the biggest corporations and billionaires pay their fair share. That's just it. It's about paying their fair share. I am not mad at anyone for achieving success, but everyone should pay their fair share, and it is not right that the teachers and the firefighters that I meet every day across our country are paying a higher tax than the richest people in our country.
Bill Gates just said it this week.
That is actually not true. Just because they can have access to higher CPAs and people who understand how to work with taxes doesn't mean that firefighters and teachers don't have that same thing. And to say that they're in the same tax bracket and that they pay more in taxes is actually insane. I promise you, if you made $1 million, if you netted $1 million in 2023, you're paying more in taxes than a teacher and a firefighter are 100%.
If he was in charge of taxes, he would have paid more. But how do you find that line to make sure corporations are paying their fair share, but they're not leaving our country?
Well, listen, I work with a lot of CEOs. I have spent a lot of time with CEOs, and I'm going to tell you that the business leaders who are
I thought you were a prosecutor, so how the fuck are you spending all this time with CEOs?
actually part of the engine of America's economy agree that people should pay their fair share. They also agree that when we look at a plan such as mine that is about investing in the middle class, investing in new industries, investing in bringing down costs, invest in entrepreneurs like small businesses, that the overall economy is stronger and everyone benefits.
Talk about that answer.
I love how we showed the 2 minutes prior to that, and it was a bumbling mess, and they only did that. Your smile says it all.
I do, but here's what's a little tricky. She doesn't answer the question around if the GOP is controlling the Senate, if she can't raise corporate taxes, where is she going to get the money from, to expand the child tax credit and do all the things she wants to do? And she says, we just have to do it. And that's great, and that's a campaign promise. But the issue is, if it means we're just going to borrow again, then what we're doing is we're just never addressing the deficit. And back in the days when you were a proud Republican, debts and deficits mattered. Now, I said this the other day, she is running for president, not perfect. As it relates to the deficit, Donald Trump is going to balloon it significantly bigger than Vice President Harris will.
Factually not true.
But that is an overall issue that we're never, it's like the American people have forgot, or we no longer think that debt and deficits matter. They will at some point as they balloon. So she's saying it doesn't matter. We're going full steam ahead. And I mean, I don't fault her for it because the American people aren't prioritizing, saying you have to focus on this. And as much as she's not focused on it, Donald Trump's not.
We are at prioritizing on it. He is prioritizing it. She is still not prioritizing on it.
Much bigger way. And that is the person she's running against.
Steph, while you were interviewing Vice President Harris, we got to talk to Mark Cuban, who said, just on the leadership questions, that CEO said, you're alone in the room with Elon Musk. Like, is he really who he seems like? And he said, don't worry about Elon. But here's what I say to other business leaders. As a turnaround artist, she took something that was failing, and in 60 days, she bridged a minus 16-point deficit on favorability to positive.
So we're going to look at business, and we're going to look at what she's done politically, which all just been faked by the media. But we're not going to look at the campaign or the economy that we had back in like 2016, going into 2020. Those are I felt like everyone was like, we're making money, everything is good. In these past 4 years, everyone's like, where'd the money go?
She took a campaign that had no enthusiasm and is now has by far the enthusiasm advantage. She took something that was behind and is at worst tied in most instances ahead. Her leadership acumen is what business leaders are responding to. What did you know those people? I mean, do you share that assessment?
Without a doubt, and she actually said something that tracks, because what I often hear from people in the business community, really people who just like Donald Trump's tax cuts, they like to say, well, I've never seen her run a business, and they omit the fact that he's run multiple businesses that have been grifts and scams or gone bankrupt. But they said, I don't know, she's a politician, but I don't know if she could handle the Oval Office. So I said to her, you got a detailed plan, but the economy, running the country, is unpredictable, right? You have to have great instincts. You've got to, tell me, what is the last gut decision you made? And she thought about it for a second, and she said, my running mate. And she laid it out there, and she said, listen, there's all sorts of polling and numbers and analysts and consultants telling you who to pick and why and what state matters. And she said, I picked Tim Walz from my gut. She said he was the right person to be my partner, and he was the right person for the country. And so it sort of complements all the things Mark said about, look, she's a great, she's a great turnaround artist in a failing business where she took it, right? Even if you look at any polling numbers right now and you worry that things are so close, they're so much farther along than they were 2.5 months ago. But couple all of that strategy and all that political acumen with the fact that she said, I went with my gut. And I'm calling him America's dad. And she chose America's dad, the coach you loved, the teacher you loved. And she's like, and I think that's the winning combination. And kind of when she said that, as I looked around, surrounded by all her team and the politicos and the force that, that's around you when a presidential campaign is here. And then she just says, I picked Tim Walz from my gut. I immediately flashed back to the same night you did with his former football players on that stage. Yeah. And his son in the audience saying, that's my dad. Yeah. And when she said that, I went, damn, I can't wait to call that Wall Street guy who 3 weeks ago said to me, she's a politician, but can she run anything? Can she do anything? I want him to watch that. I want him to listen to that. Because, by the way, Mark Cuban's right. And when you take a real close look at the business guys who are backing Trump, they're transactional.
Dude, I can't wait. I hope he does. He's going to watch this video. He's going to see it. He's going to look. Be like, damn, you know what? Who the fuck cares? She doesn't know what the fuck she's doing.